I landed up at the Srinagar and I saw Indian Army and dogs are not allowed. Actually, I'm telling you, this is a fact. I don't know how many people are aware of it. Is that statement acceptable to you? Imagine being in army and being in uniform and you read something like this written on the wall. Indian Army and dogs are not allowed. Okay? I've seen Pakistani flag, Pakistani board. You dare not go to places like Lal Chowk. What state of mind? And I was furious. I thought, pata nahi kya kar dein karke. There have been instances when I get a call ki, sir, I'm moving a dead body of a marten. The people have blocked the route. Flight is after 1 hour. What do I do? But this is the environment I've seen. It is very easy to have an opinion. Okay? But opinion changes and it changes really damn fast. When you're on ground. Imagine in your own country, you're going to a place, but you see every 10 steps there is a guy who's standing there to protect you. But the moment I take out those guys from there, how many guys are there who are going to volunteer? Okay, I want to go to Srinagar. No, you will not even cross the tunnel. That is the difference. Now things have changed. Important sections have been revoked. That made a lot of difference in the environment. Slowly and slowly things will change for betterment.
You think it's getting cleaned up?
As a military person, I am damn sure about it. The moment it has been revoked, it had made our task a lot of easier.
कांग्रेस का समय में तो भारत दो टुकड़ा हो ही गया था। अभी भारत जोड़ने के लिए तो कांग्रेस को पाकिस्तान जाना है।
अभी राहुल गांधी को फिर से लाने का तैयारी
वही है। भारत तो डिवाइड हो गया 1947 में। अगर भारत जोड़ो यात्रा करना है तो राहुल गांधी को ये यात्रा पाकिस्तान में करना सही है। भारत में यात्रा करने से क्या फायदा होगा? भारत तो जुड़ा हुआ है। खंडित क्या हुआ? पाकिस्तान ही खंडित हुआ। तो इसीलिए मैं राहुल गांधी को सलाह देता हूं कि भारत जोड़ो कार्यक्रम आप पाकिस्तान में लेके जाइए।
इस समय की बड़ी खबर आपको बता दें, दुनिया के सबसे खतरनाक इस्लामिक आतंकवादी संगठन अल कायदा ने भारत पर हमले की धमकी दी है।
अल कायदा ने धमकी दिया है कि दिल्ली यूपी में हम लोग टारगेट करेंगे और लोगों को मारेंगे। तो मैं उसको भी चैलेंज करना चाहता हूँ कि कसम से गलती से एक बार बिहार टारगेट कर लिए, हम लोग तैयार हैं आपसे लड़ने के लिए। शासन को सही कर दीजिएगा, हम लोग तैयार हैं।
इंशाअल्लाह दोबारा योगी को उत्तर प्रदेश का मुख्यमंत्री नहीं बनने देंगे, नहीं बनने देंगे।
और ये भी कह दो, ये सब करने से कुछ ना होने वाला। योगी तो जाएगा, लिखवा लो मुझसे। कहीं नहीं जाएगा, कहीं नहीं जाएगा। योगी आदित्यनाथ जिंदाबाद, जिंदाबाद। मेरे दम बत्ती बोर थिले काली कार, बैठे कार विच मेरे चुनवे जे यार, नीए वट खान पैंदे पंगे जान जा लैंदे, असी बैठिया बिठाया बंदे उठने नहीं देंदे, लैंदे मिंटो मिंट पट ना तू हस बल्लीए, कीड़ा करदा है तंग मैनू दस बल्लीए, साडे मैट्रिक च आउंदी ना पुलिस बल्लीए, करदा है तंग कीड़ा 10 बल्ली, जट गैंग नहीं बनाउंदे गैंग रन करदे, वैपन रखिया चढ़दे तो चढ़दे नहीं, जिथे चलदे रकाने पूरी लहर फड़दे।
One of the most interesting things about Romani people is that even though we are mostly Christian now, we used to be Hindu for over 1,000 years. The ways we have adapted and preserved aspects of Hinduism in our culture. For example, most of our religious vocabulary is of Hindu origin. Like when we call out to God, we say Devla, which comes from this word, used to indicate a deity in Hinduism. The word we use for cross is Trishul. The name of the Hindu god Shiva's trident is Trishula. Our ancestors never seen a cross before, saw it and mistook it for a trident like that of Shiva. The Romani word for priest is Rashai, which comes from the Hindu term Rishi, basically meaning an enlightened sage. And one of the most fascinating ones is that the Romani word for devil is Beng, which literally comes from the Sanskrit word for frog, and is used in other Indic languages like Rohingya to mean frog. So I was like, why would our ancestors call the devil a frog? So I looked up the frog's meaning in Hinduism, and I found out they symbolize reincarnation, which is what our ancestors believed happened after death, which makes so much sense and so fascinating to see how our ancestors viewed religion.
त्वमेव माता पिता त्वमेव, त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव, त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव, कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृतिस्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायति समर्पयामि।
Weeks ago you called Pakistan, your neighbor, the epicenter of terrorism.
Well, I did it again today without using the word Pakistan.
This doesn't sound very diplomatic, does it?
No, because you are a diplomat doesn't mean you're untruthful. I could use much harsher words
words than epicenter. So believe me, considering what has been happening to us, I think epicenter is a very diplomatic word, because this is a country which has attacked the Parliament of India some years ago, which attacked the city of Mumbai, which every day sends terrorists across the border. If the terrorist camps operate in broad daylight in cities with recruitment and financing, can you really tell me that the Pakistani state doesn't know what's going on? Especially if they're being trained in military level combat tactics. So, when we speak about judgments and principles, why don't I hear sharp European condemnation of these practices which have been going on for multiple decades?
The other day I was coming from London, day before yesterday, and next to me was Kareena Kapoor, who was sitting in her seat. So many people came to her and they said hello. She didn't even bother to react. I was a little bit surprised. Whichever came to me, I stood up. We discussed for a minute or half a minute. That's all what they were expecting.
She must be a million admirers. She must have been tired.
That is not the issue. The issue is...
Murthy, a founder and a software person will have maybe 10,000, but film actress will get 1 million.
No, that is not the issue. The issue is when somebody shows affection, I think you can also show it back in however cryptic manner you can. I think that is very important. Anyway, these are all the ways to reduce your ego, that's all.
Winston Churchill killed more Indians than Adolf Hitler killed Jews. But we demonize Adolf Hitler, and we kind of, even in India, worship Winston Churchill because we're not taught the truth. So there's always shades of grey, and it's not all black and white. Of course Hitler was evil. Of course he was a monster. But he was not the biggest monster. He was not the biggest shark in the pond. Churchill was worse. He was brutal. He was a Hinduphobe. He was an Indophobe. He killed so many Bengalis and he siphoned off the wheat that India was producing, which should have gone to Bengal, and he sent it to Greece. And Mao Zedong killed way more people later on during his career in China. Stalin killed way more people than Hitler, but we demonize Hitler. I'm not saying we should not demonize Hitler, but he was small fry compared to these other people, actually. Right? So that's an interesting perspective we from India can see.
So India has faced a lot of hypocrisy from a lot of countries since independence. So how far do we forgive and forget in this ever-changing geopolitics, and how do we make these decisions? Thank you.
Forgive and forget. Do you forgive and forget? You should never forget. It's a big mistake. If you forget, you are not learning the lessons from it. If you forgive, it depends what you are forgiving. Some things I would never forgive. If somebody attacked my city, if somebody violated my sovereignty, I would never forgive it. And I would never forget it. So, forgive and forget is nice in personal relations. I think nations need to have longer and better memories.
If Arundhati Roy can write a book for Afzal Guru, if Christian conversion can be legitimized by India's academia, the subversion of Indian nation, the Hindu Rajya and the Hindu Rashtra is backed only by intellectual subversion. If they are terrorists, blame us. We are happy victims of terrorism. What stops us from becoming Kshatriyas? What stops us from writing good books? What stops us from producing monographs which will threaten them? What stops us from physically removing these Jesus Christ statues and the EVR statue? Ask yourself the question and you will understand why intellectual subversion has worked in this country. The victims of intellectual subversion, unfortunately, is the Hindu Rajya and the Hindu Rashtra, and only Hindus have themselves to blame.
Jeff Bezos was strutting around my country because we are the biggest diversified markets. You turn any corner, you've got 3 people selling on a push cart, 5 little hawker shops. India is a big market of tiny bazaars and tiny hearts. And Jeff Bezos wants it. He began with destroying publishing and bookstores. Now he wants our food. And he managed to get an agreement with our government that Alexa, Alexa is what they call the personal assistant, that Alexa would teach our kids in schools what is eating right. So immediately, I was leaving for here, but I announced, I said, when I come back, I'm going to do a campaign. Amma, which means mother or grandmother or our indigenous ancestors. Amma, not Alexa. We're going to learn what's eating right and what's good farming from our mothers and grandmothers and our great-grandmothers.
एक एनकाउंटर हुआ था, उसमें मैं राज्य का गृह मंत्री था, मुझ पर केस कर दिया और सीबीआई ने मेरी अरेस्ट की।
जी।
अरेस्ट में सीबीआई के रिकॉर्ड पर आज भी टैप किया हुआ पड़ा होगा। अगर प्रामाणिकता से टैप किया तो सीबीआई के उस वक्त के अफसरों ने, और मिटा नहीं दिया कांग्रेस सरकार ने, तो 90% सवालों में यही था कि काहे को परेशान हो रहे हो, मोदी का नाम दे दो आपको छोड़ देंगे। हमने तो काले कपड़े नहीं पहने, कोई विरोध नहीं किया
जी।
मोदी जी के खिलाफ एसआईटी बनाई एक राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री के, कोई करप्शन का केस नहीं था। दंगों में इन्वॉल्वमेंट का केस करा फर्जी टाइप का, जो अंत में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने खारिज किया। हमने कोई हाई तौबा नहीं करी थी, कभी काले कपड़े पहनकर संसद को हमने जाम नहीं किया था भाई।